children.
Not for long. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Keith and Mike Watch Deep Space Nine. Oh, look at those fresh-faced youngsters doing the very first pilot episode of this show. Crazy, but you know, here we are 160 almost episodes later.
Wow. That's crazy.
At least we figured out the tech. That was not our best look for the pilot.
No, but you'd think that was the first time we'd done anything, but it's not. We had
certainly not.
Yeah,
we've done 200 episodes of another show, but you know, we learn slowly. But we learn, Keith. We do. It's been a week because we put out 2 episodes of a Strange New Show where we watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So if you missed that, you can check it out. Just, you know, if you haven't subscribed, and why haven't you subscribed? You got a little bing and little notification. But if you haven't, you can also just, you know, search Strange New Show, and you can see us basically do exactly this, but for Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So we had to take a week off because we had 2 episodes to do because they premiered. So we are back. We are back to talk about the siege of AR-558. Certainly an important, an impactful episode. Very excited to talk about it. Mike, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. I'm. The world is a weird place right now in every dimension, especially in media. The conglomerates doing weird stuff, canceling long-running properties.
Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, but at the same time, giving South Park, the most satirical of all satirical, like a gajillion $billion to run forever. So,
for now,
yeah, I guess everything's at will.
Well, until the merger happens,
right?
Because that is a CBS Paramount production, and you know, for those of you who are like really confident that Star Trek is going to continue and like this Strange New World is actually going to be 5 seasons, I wouldn't put your money on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hope it does. Though I hear what you're saying, and I would tend to agree. I will say that episode 1 was like pretty good. I'll be honest, just as a quick aside, I had forgotten basically what happened in seasons 1 and 2 because it's been so long. That's another thing that's happening in our media landscape, and so episode 1 took a while to get back up, but 2 we loved, we thought was fun. 3, Keith, I think you're going to enjoy. It's awesome. I won't say much more. And at the very least, we know that Deep Space Nine is going to see its conclusion.
That's right.
In this world of uncertainty, all we know for sure is that you and I are attached at the AR-558 until we get through this.
Fair enough. I mean, you can't cancel DEI from 30 years ago yet. Although, folks, if you're a fan and you would like to watch this in a couple of years, maybe get yourself a physical copy. Wink. So that because I am not confident we're gonna have access to anything Star Trek eventually, because the new owners of Paramount CBS not going to be a fan of Star Trek's politics, and probably is not going to keep supporting it. So, there you go.
Well, what do you say?
Let's talk about this cheery and uplifting episode, The Siege of AR-558. But before we do that, we have to talk about last week's episode, Once More Unto the Breach. And if you would like me to read your comment, Mike, how do they do that?
Oh, there's a plethora of ways. The easiest, just become a patron. You can do so at patreon.com/K&M. Yeah. You know, in these days of the billionaires doing everything, the non-billionaires, and you're looking at 2 of them,
could just barely
use literally the $1 to get you all of our goodies. If you would like $1 extra a month in your debt,
and you would you like the debt to creep just below ball level for us?
Just descend our testicle debt 1 notch.
in proportion with its natural descent as we age.
True, yes. Should we start over? I find myself asking that far too frequently these days.
Nope. Unlike our debt, we have to sit in it and just hope we don't sit on it. So Joshua Cronin says, who would like to bail out of this episode, says about Once More Into the Breach. Remember this Deep Space Nine episode. Mm-hmm. Says it is an action-packed episode. Love the final scene of Core. Depth in Martok is always good. He's my favorite Klingon. I don't mind some quirky side stories for Ezri. 72 self-sealing stem bolts for me. Brian from Video Game Drive-By says, hi guys, another Klingon banger. And yet again, Worf gives us the entire moral of the story at the beginning when discussing the Alamo with the boys. Such a good look on how Klingons deal with age. Martok continues to be the second most complex Klingon of all Trek. Core has always been fun. He used to remind me of my grandpa Drive-By. But as I grow older, I am starting to see more and more of my father in him. And that happens.
Grandpa Drive-By.
Yeah, well, I mean, at some point your parents, not me because I ain't reproducing, mm-hmm. but when your siblings reproduce, Mom and Dad become Grandma and Grandpa, and I don't know when the hell that happened, and I do not find that acceptable.
Your parents are grandparents, Keith.
They are. Well, but that's the thing, because of my nephew, when we go home, they refer to themselves, and we refer to them as Grandma and Grandpa, not Mom and Dad.
What? Yeah, I know, Mimi, and everybody's got weird names for it, and I'm like, what are we even talking about? I will say this, though, my mom, who is best known for her candor.
Indeed.
When she had her first grandchild, adored her.
Mike, you need to start running again.
Although I feel like my lifting is finally taking shape because I tried to do an AI of myself the other day, and it made me jacked. And I was like, oh, it picked up. All right. Subtlety. It also made me about 57. So I asked my mom, I said, okay, well now she has 3 grandchildren. And I said, hey, what is the emotional quotient? How do you feel what's the love level for your grandchildren versus us as your kids, the people you're responsible for? And she goes,
why would you ask that question?
She didn't even need to think about it. She's like, oh, I love them so much more. She just...
Why would you ask that? You know that is a grenade. Why did you step on it?
But she does outwardly say, and she's right, that I'm her favorite child. And I'm glad to know that. I mean, she's equally disappointed in me, but she loves me the most out of my brother and sister.
You are the least disappointing?
No. Most disappointing, but also most loved.
Okay, well, boy, that's Hey, what's up, Nick? So glad you joined the show today.
He knows.
I know. Anyway, Brian continues, it's hard watching the mind deteriorate.
Which is happening right now.
Even in someone with whom you have what Shakespeare would subtly refer to as a complicated relationship. Mm-hmm. Indeed. Glad Core got to go out on his terms, even if the arc was predictable. The best part we can do is not to see that battle. We get to believe in the legend of Core, Dahar Master, 91 cases of blood wine. Kevin Miles says, I thought J.G. Hertzler and John Colicos, Core, were excellent. Mm-hmm. I had the pleasure of meeting both of those gentlemen on several occasions.
Cool.
Mr. Colicos is a class act. He was very friendly to everyone who visited his table for an autograph. After meeting the actors, I appreciate their performance more than if I did not meet them. My ratings are therefore a little biased. I'll let everyone else cover the portrayal of dementia and its effects. I give this episode also 91 self-sealing stem bolts. They say don't meet your heroes. And I firmly believe that, but your Star Trek heroes, more likely than your average heroes, to turn out to be decent people. Hibernation Pod, what's up, Tux? Says, talking about Core and his aging mental faculties and how he was able to handle the final battle so well reminded me of someone I knew years ago. He had health issues and was often on strong medication that left him really out of it. He loved playing chess, and my friend who was learning the game was amazed that no matter how messed up he was, he could still easily beat him. 85 self-sealing stem bolts. Yeah, our brains do not degrade in a linear fashion. It's not like turning out the lights. It's all over the place. YouTube viewer is still at war with the YouTube censors. I can't wait to find out what you have to say in a couple of weeks about this episode. JD says, sorry everybody, I got Mike on a tear about his summer of 99. JD, look, Mike going on an inappropriate tear is not something, you know what?
It's a feature, not a bug, baby.
Look, there's a saying in the Al-Anon program. Didn't cause it, can't cure it, can't control it. And this is true about Mike's tangents.
It works if you work it, baby. So work it. I'm worth it.
Sure, but I can't control your tangents, sir. JD, and I did ask for this, and I actually appreciate this, says, so as far as Davy Crockett, at this point, every movie and TV show that had been done is a far exaggerated version of who he was. The one that's probably most historically accurate is the 2004 The Alamo, where Billy Bob Thornton played Billy Bob Thornton.
No, is he related? Okay.
Yeah. I've never seen that.
Billy Bob Thornton? Much better stage name.
Billy Bob Thornton. Yeah, for sure. But amongst Texas history teachers, if you talk to Texans, is there sort of a general respect for who he was? Yes, but for 90% of them, it comes with an awareness that he was indeed a flawed man. I honestly think that around the 80s, teachers realized that the myth Disney version of the heroes of the Alamo had gotten popular. So in the 80s, they started doing a lot of corrective teaching regarding people like him and Houston and Travis. In fact, Crockett is one of the more interesting and complicated people of the Alamo, because while he did own 2 slaves in his life, he was also openly for abolishing slavery. Yeah, it's amazing how often you see that. Which is one of the things that sort of symbolizes what it is to be Texan. Yeah, we sometimes hold contradictory ideas and beliefs, but we will damn sure fight for both of them until we change our mind on one of them. Sorry about the Crockett essay, but the fact is the story was vital to the episode, and he will be mentioned at least 2 more times during season 7. I don't care. Also, in my headcanon is that while Worf was a child being raised on Earth, he found the old Davy Crockett episodes on Disney and was a secret fan and didn't want O'Brien and Bashir to know. Oh, I like that. Okay, I will call Keith on this one. Crockett was one of the few senators that fought against the Indian Removal Act, at which point President Jackson did everything he could to make Crockett lose at the midterms. Jackson was a monster, for those of you wondering. Great, Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson. Great musical. You learn a lot. Grim. Anyway, one thing that a lot of people don't know is that between ages 12 and 18, Crockett was an indentured servant for several people. I think if he were alive in recent times, he would have backed Bernie Sanders for sure. But that's for another time. Yes, in the final version, they did change Quark's line. Instead of a universe of men or women, it's changed to there has to be somebody out there. That's a Berman. That's a great, 90s catchphrase.
That's a Berman.
That's a Berman. When you, make something a little more shitty.
Sick Berm.
Yeah, I like it. I like this episode. It does point at one of the things we still need to work on as far as treating old folks with decency in their latter age, and using the Klingons works well for that. I give this one 91 self-stealing stem bolts. Me standing behind a curtain looking into the camera crying, "Leave Martok alone." I am actually impressed and disturbed that you left that in. No, the tag. Does Jed know about this? Do you remember what he's referring to, Mike?
The tag?
Yeah.
The tag was interesting last week. I can't remember the specifics, but I do recall that it was something definitely cut from the episode, but then took a piece of because it was funny.
Yeah, a certain patron tier.
Oh,
wow. Deterioration. There it is. Thank you, JD. Patreon.com/KNM if you would like me to read your comment. Let's talk about the siege of AR-558. What an episode. Okay, it aired on November 18th, 1998. So you might be getting ready to come home for Thanksgiving, which I would have been coming home from my freshman year of college, I believe. Would have been, yeah, there it is. Probably taking the Greyhound bus from Rochester, New York to Burlington, Vermont. That's only 13 hours starting at 2 a.m. Horrible.
Yeah, I was coming back from Ithaca College. It's about a 4-hour drive. But I had my
well, you had a car. I didn't have
my
a car.
car, and I had my mixed CDs, and I don't know why, but like my commute from college, for some reason I can only recall. There's a few, but I remember the first song on that mix CD was oh my God, what's that? Late night, come home, work sucks. I know, she left me roses by the stairs. Surprises, let me know she cares. Say it ain't so, I will not go. Carry me, na 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 na.
You know, your ability to like hear the verses is very impressive. For somebody who's devoted my life to words and language.
I don't know the actual words. I just recall how it kind of goes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm like you. I don't know lyrics to songs.
And I'm a lyricist. I write lyrics, but I do not hear any of the lyrics to any pop tunes.
Keith Varney, he writes the words that you'll forget.
Exactly. I'm putting stuff out there for someone like, I got fired. Yeah, exactly. So the top song, the lyrics of which I have no idea, was "Do Up That Thing."
That thing that you won't hear because I'm going to be late to my concert.
A lot of that happening.
Well, she's the queen. She never shows up.
Really?
Yeah, hours and hours late, or just cancels it altogether the day of. That's her jam.
Can't say I'm a fan of that.
No.
Can't say I'm a fan. The top movie, still at the top of the charts. You know, we've got the golf one, but not this week. It's The Waterboy, also Adam Sandler.
Bobby Boucher.
Yeah.
Kathy Bates is in that movie.
Kathy Bates, yeah, you said that last week.
It hasn't changed.
The synapse still fires.
It hasn't changed.
So what was Voyager doing? They were doing the episode Timeless. Great episode. I'm not going to tell you much more about it, but features an amazing cameo. Great episode. So this episode, 708, The Siege of AR-558, was directed by veteran director Weinrich Colby. It is written by showrunner Ira Stephen Bear and Hans Beimler. They frequently wrote the
not Dr. Colby, who's shacking up with Chapel. He didn't write this episode.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't believe so. And he can burn a fiery death. Who's calling you?
I don't know, but why is it coming through my computer?
I don't know.
It's weird.
Wow. Look at you. You have friends. People call you.
No, it's Lone Depot.
My Lone Depot.
They're like, you got a lot of debt. You want a loan? They call me every day. I'm like, no, man. Thanks.
I get that all the time. All right. Anyway. Yeah. So Ira Stephen Bear and Hans Beimler. So, you know, we've been too serious so far. Let's do something trivial. Now, Keith, waste your time.
We've already done that.
With trivial trivia. Okay. So, in Trivial Trivia, the scene where Quark describes to Nog what happens when humans' creature comforts are taken away is one of Armin Shimmerman's favorite scenes that he has ever performed on the show.
Sheesh.
Well, I think it's one of the deepest things that Quark ever says. And all the more relevant. This controversial episode was one of the first primetime network series to portray the personal effects of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, in relation to combat involving the main characters of a series. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily true, but it's written there. This is, again, one of the most controversial episodes ever made for the way it shows the harsh realities of war in such an unflinching manner. The director, Weinrich Colby, was a Vietnam veteran and used his experience when directing the episode.
Did you say it's the first time in Trek or the first time on TV?
First time on TV.
Isn't MASH entirely that?
Yeah. So, the IMDb did trivial trivia, not always edited. But nonetheless, it is very important that they did that, and very impactful regardless. So, less important, Max Grudenchik can actually sing really well, as opposed to his character Rom, who sings horribly. The Lady is a Tramp in his audition with Vic Fontaine. In fact, a lot of our Deep Space Nine characters, including Max, are part of a big band Star Trek singing group.
There's something cool about Deep Space Nine I found as far as humility goes. A lot of shows, I keep coming back to like Full House is my touch point because I watched it so religiously as a kid. And if you had like the slightest bit of a hidden talent, they found a way to just make an episode about it. Oh, you can dance? We're doing an episode where Stephanie dances. Oh, you play drums for the Beach Boys? We're doing a Beach Boys episode. And this show is always subverting that, right?
Are you good at something? We're going to make you terrible at it on TV.
You can play baseball? Yeah, you're going to bat left-handed. Oh, you can sing? You're going to be bad at it. I think it shows a lot of humility on the actor's part. I think it shows the tongue-in-cheekiness of the...
Well, and they did that to Max all the time.
Yeah, right.
Because, Max was the best baseball player of all of them. They made him be terrible. Max is probably the best singer of them all, except for probably Avery, and they forced him to do that, yeah. Although Renee sings as well, yeah,
You know what, but the only thing, but they make Rom the best dad and the best boyfriend.
Mm-hmm. Husband, excuse me.
Well, we don't know what he's got going on the holodeck, you know what I'm saying?
Look, the holodeck doesn't count.
What happens on the holodeck?
Stays
in the memory banks and Quark watches it later.
Yeah, that's 100% right. So Kellen, the soldier we meet, is played by Bill Mumy. Now, do you know who Bill Mumy is?
I barely remember the episode from 2 weeks ago, Keith.
The guy who... I told you to watch it again.
Sorry.
So he is a regular on 2 non-Star Trek space series. One of which is Babylon 5, which was a sort of contemporary competitor with Deep Space Nine. I have not watched it.
My mama loved it.
Really?
Yeah. Sci-Fi Channel airs it all the time.
Interesting, because I know it's a little controversial. There's some thoughts. Did Deep Space Nine steal their concept from Babylon 5? It's a very similar concept. But I know a lot of the actors went back and forth.
I always got Voyager and Babylon 5 confused, and I got Babylon 5 confused with Stargate.
Oh, yeah. All sort of the same world there. So he was on Babylon 5, but also, most famously, he was on Lost in Space. So, every time I say danger, danger, Will Robinson. Mm-hmm. He was Will Robinson, the little boy.
Oh, yeah, my mom used to love to watch that show, too. My mom's a big sci-fi nerd, turns out.
I would not have guessed.
I know, it's cool.
Well, it explains something.
You know what show she loves right now is her jam? And I've watched the first season, it's really good. I want to go back, is Resident Alien.
Oh, sure, yeah.
That's all I have to say.
It's really well done. And one of their most frequent directors is a regular cast member on Voyager.
Wow.
So, who has gone on to be quite a prolific director. So Aaron Eisenberg and Patrick Kilpatrick, who plays Reese, and director Weinrich Colby had all previously worked together on the Voyager episode Initiations.
Oh.
I won't say any more about it because that's going to be a nice little treat for you when we get there.
Excited for Voyager, Keith.
Yeah. So according to Ronald D. Moore, in the original story, Nog was to lose both of his legs. But guess what? Rick Berman argued for a less severe loss, which is why Nog only lost one leg, because guess what? They got Bermaned. They took something and...
Sick Berm.
They basically, he's like the guy who is who slaps away the seasoning on all of your things. Let me just take that thing you're making, make it just a little bit worse. We don't want to have any seasoning or flavor in our products.
Well, Yeah, I'm just trying to like, what's the difference? One bionic leg, two bionic legs. It's not really lost because you got a bionic leg, right?
Well,
it's like Luke. We feel bad for Luke. He loses his hand for like 11 seconds, and then he's got this badass hand.
Well, we'll see how that plays out in the future. But like but you know, the thing is, like, two legs is manifestly different. Like, you've lost like half of your body. Like, it's much more shocking, much more terrible, and a million times harder to adapt to. And like, why did he say don't do that?
It is a question.
Well, because he doesn't want things to be impactful. He doesn't want things to be strong or extreme. Like, oh, we got to nerf everything. And so, like, it's more shocking, it's more horrific, it's more upsetting. And it's supposed to be shocking and horrific and upsetting. That's the whole freaking point. But Berman's like, no. You gotta make it nice and TV. And I think it would have been better. But we got Berman. So this is the thing that really is my favorite part of the whole episode.
The Chancellor's here.
Hey, what's up, Chancellor Jen?
Hey, what's up? You don't have to come on camera. We're just saying hi. I mean, I'm hearing from the fans, though, that the fans are very upset that you didn't bring me a snack.
That's true. We have a certain set of expectations.
Yeah, it's expected now. I should get a coffee and a snack.
I mean, what's the Patreon level to watch you eat?
Oh, and the cadet is here? Cadet Ellie's here?
Oh, Cadet Ellie!
That's my good girl. Tuxie's he just puts his ass in my face. I don't know. That's a different Patreon tier.
Oh, that one's on the free level, because we've seen that right from the very beginning.
All right, we're back. Nice to see you, Jen. Thanks for being a part of the team.
Hi, Jen. Bye, Jen. So, of the music in this episode,
which is great,
associate producer Terry Potts explains, we wanted to mix the battle sounds under the music, so I went to Rick Berman and told him what we wanted to do. He said, okay, but make it sad. All right, Berman got that right. Paul wrote the music. Paul Bayarjian wrote the music without looking at any footage. It wasn't about hitting any story points in particular. It was about creating a mood. And he commented, Paul did, it's a 16-bar melodic phrase. I just got up on a Saturday morning, sat down at the piano, and in 10 minutes it was done. Ira Stephen Bear enjoyed Bayarjian's score, commenting, we thought the music was brilliant. Rather than try to get everybody's blood boiling with martial music, we went against it with melancholy music. And we're not going to play it on here because we'll get a strike, but I'm going to put a link to the composition in our YouTube comments. Try to remind me to do that. Because I think it's called like the War Adagio, I think. It is... I don't know if it's first or second, but it's up there with the most beautiful music ever written for Trek, with the flute suite from Inner Light. It's so good. It's a fantastic piece.
The music was exceptional this week.
Yeah, so go do yourself a favor and listen to it, because it's stunning. And the use of music also, having Vic Fontaine's recording playing, just music was such an important part of this episode. And
you don't get needle drops a lot, but we do here.
Yeah, we do. Well, it makes the episode stand out in a couple of different ways. But I think it's hugely important for it. Also, hugely important on the show are our guest stars, including Raymond Cruz as Tuco Vargas, Patrick Kilpatrick as Reese, Aaron Eisenberg as Nog. Why isn't he a main cast member yet? I don't know. Annette Held as Nadia Larkin, Max Grodenchik as Rom. Also, why is he not a main cast member yet? Bill Mummy as Kellen, and James Darren as Vic Fontaine. You know who started as guest stars, but now are clearly main cast members, Mike?
Keith. That's the Hall of Fame, page 2.
Always, every time.
Anton Thies, Merritt Neath, Harry Pothead. But don't forget, where there's a page 2, there's a page 1. And that's Casey Clark, Brian Kaufman, Jason Moe, Joshua Cronin, The Mysterious Ann, Andrew Hayes, Warps, Big Old Hooch, Shibs, Colin Dagan, Quarks Barb, Peter Banks, CRM Productions, Jennifer Massanova, Cloud, Lover69, Jorge Navoa, Charles Babbage, Kevin Miles, Frank Rinch, Frank Kilmer-Grissock, and JD, of course, CRM Productions, Ryan Chesley, and Yamba. And then, of course, we have the boots on the ground, our patrons. You can see them here. We appreciate them every day. 1 leg, 2 legs, no legs. We love them the same, and we hope they continue their march into the Hall of Fame one day. Thank you for being part of the team. You can be one yourself. Patreon.com/K&M.
Okay, well, there we go. Mike, what do you say? We go into our screening room. Wow. You're welcome. So we begin with Rom auditioning for Vic's club. He's singing "The Lady is a Tramp." Vic kindly turns him down. And as I said before, ironically, Max is a singer and is part of the Deep Space Nine Star Trek Rat Pack singing group, including a lot of our favorite characters. Bashir comes in and asks Vic for his CD of recordings, his mixtape, to take along on a supply trip into the war zone. Cute, and I like it. I mean, imagine, like, I'm sure he would have it all recorded, but he has to ask a hologram for a recording. It's a recording of a recording. I like it. It's fun. And like you said, if you're going to drive home from college, you got to have the mixtape.
Yeah, I just loved looking at the sheet, like having sheet music that is time appropriate, right? Because obviously now it's all on iPads, and I'm sure it'll be holopads out then. So I'm glad that Vic is still using the old school sheet music. I
know, and it looks like that might even be manuscript, which is even more period accurate. So we go to Sisko's office, and Ben stares at another long casualty report. And he says, "I think that's what I'm going to remember most about this war. Looking through casualty reports. Sometimes it feels like that's all I do. Stare at the names of the dead. When the war started, I used to read every name. It felt it was the least I could do to honor their sacrifice. But lately, the names have begun to blur together." So that's our setting. The Defiant leaves for the mission, and we find out that Quark is tagging along at the request of the Nagus, who was looking for first-hand intelligence for the Ferengi. And Ezri tries to calm him down and says, "Remember the 34th rule of acquisition. War is good for business." Quark replies, "Of course, only from a distance. The closer you are to the front lines, the less profitable it gets." Boy, is that a true statement about the world today.
I got very nervous, Keith, I will say. Speaking of the berm of it all, very nervous when we started that scene because Ezri was in such soft focus.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we were going to come into focus and they were going to do like a Dax from season 1. She was going to be like in a tower or something, giving us some sort of insight into what might be happening with their relationship. And I was like, please no. But I'm glad. Luckily, they were just in a therapy session, right?
Oh, yeah, boy, that would be a big swing. So then they are interrupted by the ship being hit by a phaser blast.
You know, hold on.
No, yeah.
This is just kind of a big picture thing you can help me with. Is Ezri? They kept her on to be a therapist, right?
Yeah.
But is she therapist for our friends as well, or just for like the crew at large? Because isn't that like a huge conflict of interest? A, your friends, and B, like people who are still actively flirt with you?
For sure. And you know, no, technically they are like, she's a counselor, which is different from a therapist. It's more like a chaplain, right?
Okay.
In the military. So like the regular boundaries of patient and doctor are slightly different. But my other sort of question about it is like, which I didn't think about till you said that. It's like, all right, so why is she on the mission? Right? It ends up being super useful and super important, but like, you know, wouldn't you go back to your therapist after the mission as opposed to bring the therapist? I mean, trust me, I would love to have brought my therapist to many of real life's missions. Can you come home for Christmas with me? But Yeah, but it's interesting.
Little known fact.
Yeah.
CEO Jen's dad was a chaplain at Vietnam.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I did not. That was a little known fact to me. Interesting. Well, thanks for your service. So they are in the Chintaka system, which they had previously taken, remember? The beginning of the season. But the Dominion is now trying to retake it. They blow up the Jem Hadar ship and keep going. Then a nervous Quark arrives on the bridge, to pretty much everybody's annoyance. Nog is embarrassed and does not have any patience for Quark's anxiety. They arrive on the planet to deliver the supplies, and they beam down and are shocked to discover the conditions on the surface. It is pretty much bombed out. And after taking fire, they realize that they're both on the same side, and they meet the Federation officers posted at this outpost, including a traumatized Tuco. The top two officers of the Federation officers on the surface have already been killed, leaving a lieutenant in charge. And
correct me if I'm wrong, is that dude one of the brothers from Goonies?
The brothers?
Yeah.
You mean
the
big soldier? Patrick Kilpatrick?
Yeah, was he in Goonies? Was he like the brawny of the two mama's sons?
Oh, no, but he looks like him. I don't think. Let me look it up. Hold on.
I'm sorry, guy. You've got that like big mug face. So I was like, is it him?
He's a very familiar looking guy. He's done a ton. But you're thinking Robert Davi.
Okay.
That you're confusing him with. But like, never sad to go on a Goonies adventure.
No, of course.
And
we love Tuco. I love Tuco.
It is, in my opinion, a perfect film.
I'm not gonna argue against that.
Like, let's just sit down and watch it. Just like every shot, every beat, every piece of music,
Also, one of those things. Do yourself a favor. Remind yourself you've only watched it in shitty pan and scan and VHS and on TV. Go find an actual digital copy of the full aspect ratio of the movie and watch it. It's exquisite.
It's
all the Amblin movies are.
So good. Anyway, so I wanted to sort of read the stage directions in the script here because I think it really sets the scene well. And this is something that was only for the production crew and cast. And it says, Bashir, Ezri, Nog, and Quark study the Starfleet personnel stationed along the barricade. At first glance, it's hard to believe that Sisko, Ezri, Bashir, and Nog wear the same uniform as these people. They're not the crisp, clean, confident Starfleet officers we're accustomed to. These soldiers have been living on the front lines for the past 5 months, and it shows. They're tired, dirty, hollow-eyed. They're also heavily armed. And I think that really does set the stage. Their mission is to protect and figure out how to guess the password to the giant Dominion communication array. Larkin says, we've been holding this place for 5 months. That's 5 months of fighting off repeated Jem Hadar attempts to take it back. When we landed here, there were 150 of us. We are down to 43. Oof. That is some brutal attrition. 5 months, too. Like, just really imagine what it must be like to be in combat for 5 months and have lost 2/3 of the people you're with. Yikes. So Sisko is sympathetic, but tells them they're stuck here for the time being. Meanwhile, Ezri helps an engineer played by the kid from Lost in Space, the Will Robinson of Danger, Danger, Will Robinson. He's been trying to get the Jem Hadar array working for months to no avail. Meanwhile, Nog and Quark stare at one of the other soldiers who has arranged a necklace out of a Jem Hadar Ketracel White containers. He's turned from a Starfleet officer to Rambo.
Oh yeah, Nog Rambo's a good pull. I was thinking Predator.
Yeah, well, but yeah, I mean, Predator, it also same era, same type of thing, but I think Rambo as the traumatized war veteran.
Yeah, that's good.
Nog is impressed by this. Quark is concerned. And he says, let me tell you something about humans, Nog. They're a wonderful, friendly people, as long as their bellies are full and their holosuites are working. but take away their creature comforts, deprive them of food, sleep, sonic showers, put their lives in jeopardy over an extended period of time, and these same friendly, intelligent, wonderful people will become as nasty and violent as the most bloodthirsty Klingon. You don't believe me? Just look at their faces. Look in their eyes. Quark is spitting fiery truth. And we are seeing this all over the globe right this minute. Bashir then tends to Tuco's wounds. He's been dealing...
Well, we'll get to it.
Oh, no, that's it. Go ahead.
I don't view Quark with the same sort of reverence and his truth there, because though, I'm not like pro-war or whatnot, it's not, I'm not saying he's not truthful, but at the same time, I think it comes across a little disrespectful to those who are like trying to do the greater good, and also is rife with hypocrisy, because just, he doesn't get to be Gandhi here. He's the freaking Ferengi way of the way they avoid conflict is they do it all through profit and whatnot, and they're just as exploitative, they're just as violent, it's just not physical violence.
Oh, for sure, and I think that applies more to his second conversation where he's talking about
Sisko. Right?
We could have just made a deal, we would have been fine.
Yeah.
But I see your point on that one. This one, it's just the reality of humanity.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what he's basically saying is like, don't hero worship that guy.
Don't hero worship that guy. But I think he's saying something deeper about humans, about humanity. That like we are only, like a meal or two away from being feral.
Yeah.
Like, and all of our bloviating about truth and justice and all of that. Well, it holds until you're hungry.
Do you want to?
Then all of it goes away.
This is going to seem like a joke, but it is not. On Netflix right now, there's a show called Trainwreck: The Poop Cruise, and it is about a cruise ship where, really nice cruise ship, you get free. Great on cruise. It's open bar, free this, free that. Like you paid for all you can eat, all this stuff. It's awesome. But what happens if you're in the middle of the ocean, Keith? And the thing about cruises is that there's no real law and order. It's just the captain is in charge when you're out in international waters. And let's say it just turns out that everything on a cruise ship runs by electricity, because that's how it works. Turn that electricity off.
Yeah.
Now the toilets don't work, showers don't work, ovens don't work, nothing works. How long does it take for human beings to go into just complete Lord of the Fly lawlessness?
Yep. Not a lot.
No. And you don't even need to introduce war. Just take away a toilet.
Well, and I guess
that's
seeing
Quark's point here.
We're seeing that with ideology right now.
Right.
I mean that, like, even with all of our creature comforts, like, polarized ideologies has gotten us to the point where I'm seeing out how to say this very carefully, right? If your response to watching children starve to death is, yeah, but what about? Mm-hmm. You're a monster.
I mean, you could. Oh, we shouldn't go down this road.
No, we shouldn't. But it deserves to be said.
I mean, yeah, children go hungry, or children being sexually trafficked.
Yeah.
And your
right.
response is like, oh, let's take vacation so we don't have to deal with the harsh realities of what that might mean.
Or just to like, let's take this thing that is horrible under any circumstances. It is never okay under any circumstances, no matter who did what or who did how or whatever. That should fill you with horror and a desperation to feed that child. If instead you say, yeah, but they blah, 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 and they did blah, 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 you've lost your way. You have lost your ever-loving way. And that is true of any side, of any politics, of anywhere.
I mean, I guess that was the point I was starting to make here, was like, before I give Quark too much of the moral high ground here, I was like, they don't even let their women wear clothes. So am I doing that? I guess I'm doing a little bit of the...
Well, yeah, maybe. But it is, I don't think he's saying it is exclusive to... I think what he's saying is that that is not exclusive to humanity. That is true of all species, of all anybody, and maybe that applies better to the sort of political world. That is true of all people, regardless of their politics or their race or their nation or whatever, we are all one step away from that. What he's pointing at about the humans is they are the ones pretending that they're not.
Fair.
And sort of moralizing about everybody else, pretending that, oh, we're above that, we're better than that, because we've been so used to having these creature comforts, we don't remember what it's like not to have them and don't realize that we are every bit as monstrous if you take those things away. So anyway.
I guess to translate what he's saying is like, yo, this shit's dangerous, buddy.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes, like this is real dangerous. This is not glamorous. This is not heroic. This is terrifying.
Though that aside, I'd rather have this guy on my team than against him.
Oh, no question.
Yeah, I want Rambo.
Well, but and that is, and we're about to face that same moral quandary when we deal with the mines. But anyway, so Bashir tends to Tuco's wounds, and he's dealing with a fair amount of PTSD. They all seem to be. So Bashir goes to Sisko, advocating for getting them off of the planet because they're all in really rough shape. But Sisko can't do anything to help these people. And they are interrupted by an explosion.
Oh, time out. Let's go. Let's just like give his performance without listening to it. Just a little bit of screenshots just to see it develop.
Yeah, Raymond Cruz. Yeah, Raymond Cruz is
He's
a fantastic actor. Always good. So
Better Call Saul, man. He really gets his arc.
Oh, he's great. And don't forget on our previous show.
Yeah.
He gets gunned down by Helen Gamble. Laura Flynn Boyle murders that guy.
As she does. He's not the only one.
No. She's. They say the practice had too many serial killers, but everyone's forgetting the number one serial killer on the show was Laura Flynn Boyle. Anyway, so what has happened? There's been an explosion, and one of the officers has been killed by a mine. And these mines wink in and out of subspace at random.
It's scary.
Vicious. And we see Nog witness this happening. Then they get a call from Worf.
Oh, that's a Mike screenshot right there.
Yeah.
You know I can make everybody ugly.
You sure can. They get a call from Worf. The Defiant is under attack, and Jem Hadar troops are being beamed down to the surface. Sisko tells Worf we're staying, and the Defiant is going to have to leave the area without them. So they're going to be stuck on the planet. So Larkin, the lieutenant who is in charge now, says, "Sir, what are your orders?" And Sisko, full Sisko, "There's only one order, Lieutenant. We hold." And so we hear the first strains of Paul Baerjian's War Adagio, which, as I've already said, rivals the theme from The Inner Light as the most beautiful piece of music ever composed for Star Trek. So in Act 2, they're holding the line waiting for the Jem Hadar to attack, using Nog's super Ferengi hearing. Great, character element. He has a superpower. It's his hearing. Meanwhile, Nog is fanboying the seasoned soldiers. The attack begins, but the Jem Hadar are just walking slowly towards them and not shooting. It's a decoy. They're holograms just designed to figure out Starfleet's numbers and position. And that's a sequence that, I don't know, I can't even imagine how many times I've seen this episode, but every time I'm faked out by that sequence. And I'm like, they're just walking towards them. That's so stupid. Man, I thought this episode had more logical integrity than that. And of course it does. They're all holograms.
And I like that he's able to figure it out because he's been down there in the trenches doing it every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's smart. The tactics here are smart on both sides. So Tuco keeps freaking out. And then another guy is taken out by Houdini mine. So their 49 is now 47. Sisko sets Dax and Kellen to the task of figuring out how to clear these mines. At the line, Quark brings Nog some food, showing that Quark isn't as quirky when the chips are down. And this is where Quark thinks the Ferengi would have made a deal to avoid all of this. And, it is such a murky part of war, right? Because, there are some times where the war itself is the moral injury, but sometimes capitulation is the moral injury. And as we're dealing with right now, certain places choose to capitulate as opposed to fight CBS Paramount. That becomes the moral failing. And it's hard to tell who's right in this particular situation. Columbia. Anyway, so then Sisko sends Nog and 2 of the soldiers on a scouting mission to try to find and count the Jem Hadar. He's sending Nog because their tricorders aren't working, but Nog's ears are. Quark naturally objects. But Sisko says he has his orders, Quark. It's easy for you to say, but I bet you wouldn't send Jake out there. Jake isn't a Starfleet officer. Tough. So in Act 3, Nog's patrol continues. Meanwhile, Ezri is able to get the tricorder working, and she credits Tobin or Jadzia. This is going to allow them to reveal the subspace mines, if they can figure out a way via technobabble. They discuss Ezri not having served in combat, despite many of her other hosts being very experienced. And that's got to be such an... the whole thing with the Trill, right?
And I guess that's the thing, right? Is the easiest way out of our wormhole of why is Ezri why is she with them? I guess Dax is sort of just like an encyclopedia, sort of like better than... But don't you have... she... In case you as always happens, we know on a away mission we're going to lose comms. That's always happening. Right. And so you need the kind of institutional knowledge that she takes with her, maybe?
Well, yeah, she has superpowers.
Yeah.
I think having 9 lifetimes of knowledge gives you superpowers.
Yeah.
And also, and I would have loved to have seen a little bit more of this from her. I would have loved her to be a counselor, not an engineer in this episode. I think that would have made more sense to her skill set, and we really could have used more of the emotional context for this. But anyway, so on the patrol, they're able to find the Jem Hadar troops, and they see they're on the move. And I wonder, because this shot here I think is really cool, how many Jem Hadar extras did they have to pull for this episode? Or is there sort of mirroring or doubling happening there in effects? I don't know. But it's a cool look. I liked it. So they try to sneak home, and Nog is very sharp and collected. And because he can hear, he's giving, he's leading the mission a little bit and does a really nice job. But then they're attacked, and Nog is shot in the leg. He falls to the ground and screams. Oof. So they arrive back at Starfleet lines. Their CO is now dead, and Nog is seriously injured. And they have 2 columns of Jem Hadar on the way. Now, Rambo does tell Sisko the kid did all right.
I thought it was awesome beat there because it subverted an expectation. I don't know, for whatever reason, that it seemed like to me that they might be setting it up for Rambo goes rogue. Rambo doesn't want to follow chain of command. Rambo...
Right. He's not an ally.
Yeah, because that's sort of what Quark was... I don't know. A little bit, there was a foreshadow there or whatever. I felt like, though I agree with all of your sentiments about Quark's first speech to Nog, it also felt like it was a bit of a warning, right?
Yeah, well, and because he's got war trophies.
Yeah,
the whole thing. He's going to go...
But when the ish hit the fan and the chips were down, he... appreciates Quark's or Nog's work. He compliments him. He lets Sisko know what's up. He carries him back. He
also saved Nog's life and Sisko's life.
Yeah.
So he ended up being very, very important. Yeah, that's a good point, because we are sort of led to believe we're waiting for him to turn. We're waiting.
Yeah, there's a moment with the knife beat. I was like, oh, that's going to have something to do. Chekhov's knife there.
Right. So Sisko goes to check on Nog and finds Quark. How's Nog? It's a little late for you to care about that, isn't it? Quark. And then Quark gives us the heartbreaking information that he's going to lose his leg. Does that answer your question? Which, it's a big thing. I mean, like, again, we're in Star Trek world where we reset at the beginning of every episode, and losing a limb is not something to be blown off. No pun intended. So in Act 4, they continue their conversation. What happens now? You'll be able to replace the leg, won't you? Bashir says, once we get him to the hospital, he can be given a biosynthetic limb. Unfortunately, there may be complications. Nog suffered severe thermal damage to his femoral motor nerves. I'm not sure they'll be able to stimulate artificial muscle tissue. There's no way to know that until the operation is performed. Quark says we gotta get Nog to the hospital. We will as soon as we can. That's not good enough. I'm sorry, Quark. Sorry? If you've ever really cared about Nog, you would have never sent him out on that patrol. And Sisko, and it says in the stage directions here, hard. Listen to me, Quark. I'm only going to say this once. I care about Nog, and every soldier under my command. Understood? Every damn one of them. Sisko, so, you know, Bashir's setting up for, like, this is not just going to be an easy Jedi situation here for Nog.
And I think Quark is a great stand-in for many Gold Star parents here. You know, that feeling of it's hard not to make it personal. It's hard not to, you know, be pissed off if your kid gets sent to the front line and you know, all of course. That. But at the same time, Sisko, being Sisko, really nails best parallel I can come up with. Honey, what is that? Oh my God, she made me a snack, Keith. Oh,
did you guilt her into getting you a snack?
I guess I did.
Oh, boy. You know, the fans want you to drive to Rahway and give me a snack.
Pizza.
Hey, yeah, the fans want you to send me a pizza.
So, the opening scene of Lincoln with Daniel Day-Lewis. The whole movie is excellent. But the opening scene, it's just him visiting... it's not Valley Forge, but it's very much like you know, an encampment where things, you know, are dire. And you just see the weight of that responsibility of all those young men, right? Who are giving him reverence, and he's sort of just like, I don't need your reverence, like I that weight. And you see, you know, you do appreciate leaders, presidents who do understand that weight. They don't
feel the weight of the sacrifice.
Yeah, they don't all.
Sure.
But, you know, it's why you see those pictures of presidents who are young men and then a year later are old men. And Sisko perfectly captures that. It's not like and I think the parallel between that and that opening scene when he's just staring at the names, right? Well, there was a scene in another episode, remember, where he said that they used to say the names all out loud.
Yeah.
And then they became so many that they couldn't do that anymore. Yeah. And, you know, at what point do the names start to blur and you lose that impact?
They become numbers. The names become numbers.
And I think ultimately what we're going to discuss and probably come to agree on is that this episode is, the thesis of this episode is that you can never let that happen, right? That importance is ever present to a leader. And I think that's what I'm getting from Ben here. And it's just awesome. Exquisite scene.
Yeah. And like you can tell that this war has changed Sisko. Like the weight of this war is something he carries in a real way, and like it's like he becomes heavier. Like it's like you in the performance, even when he's happy, right? You can feel that like he's carrying a weighted vest of the responsibility of being in the war and being the emissary and all of this. Avery's performance becomes heavy. And I think it's really incredibly well done. So Sisko goes to visit Nog. Nog feels responsible for getting Larkin killed, dealing with guilt. Sisko comforts him by saying he did what he was ordered to do. And he looks down and we see that indeed, Nog is literally missing a leg. And heartbreakingly, Nog tries to comfort Sisko. And he says, it doesn't hurt. You'd think it would, but it doesn't. I'm glad. And Nog says, I'm gonna be fine. Then he asks what I think is the thesis statement of the episode. Captain, the communications array. It's worth it, right? I hope to God it is. Yeah. Worth it, right? Then Ezri announces they're ready to scan for hidden mines. She hits a button on the tricorder and reveals them. They are everywhere. Hundreds.
It's like Minesweeper, Keith. Remember that?
Yeah. It's terrifying. And they're just like, woo, next to your head. I think it's like such a really impactful concept and image that they do here.
And also, the episode does a great job because, you know, there's often complaints in the Trekosphere about returning to the status quo. And here, even though you're a little off kilter because there were consequences already. We lost some red shirts, quote unquote, and we lost, you know, a leg. But you know, you're pretty clear. Probably nobody else is going to die. But for some reason, the peril and the oppression of the situation we're in, and is felt, and that's done not just by it's I think the cinematography and the direction to keep it, you know, on this cave set that we know very well, but it's very claustrophobic. The way it's shot is very up close.
It's dark.
It's behind cover. It's, you know, there's a lot of oppression, and it's well executed. Yeah,
and you're right. I mean, the only thing about the episode that I think you could improve is take it out of the cave set. Right. That's just a reality of doing what you're doing, and just the reality of Trek of the Time. If you did it today, you would do it on a bigger set. But all the rest of it, it's incredibly claustrophobic, and that's why I'll talk about it later, but I find this episode terribly moving. So they found all the mines. Wouldn't you just love to have one screenshot in your life where that was your arm?
I wouldn't hate it, Keith. Wouldn't hate it.
So Sisko has a plan for the mines to use them, not disarm them. They're going to mine the path between their positions and the Jem Hadars. Only Ezri is reluctant. And she says, it's just a few hours ago we thought these mines as a kind of ruthless weapon only the Dominion would use. But now... And Sisko says, sooner or later the Jem Hadar are going to come through those barricades, and when they do, the fewer there are, the better our chances for survival. Which, you know, again, this is sort of why this episode is controversial, is like, this is an ethical compromise that we're making. Our heroes are not, you know, and I don't think it's the wrong call. But I don't think you can come away ethically unscathed by using mines like this. And it's like the history of any war. I mean, like, think about World War II, right? The most heroic and ethical of wars we've ever fought against the most monstrous situation that's ever happened in our history, sort of. Yes, but obviously, like, there are much other horrible things. But anyway, like, you know, the Nazis, like, the worst of the worst, whatever. It's the most ethical battle we've ever fought. Well, in order to win that war, not only did we firebomb all of Germany, killing countless civilians and everybody to do that, and then we nuked 2 cities in Japan.
Yeah.
So, you know, you could there's an interesting conversation about the ethics of doing that. Was it ethical to wipe the Nazis out? You're damn right. But how we did it, was it ethical? No. Was it necessary? You know, it's like,
I think that's kind of the reason paradox, the word exists, because there is it's a black hole. You don't come out the other end. Ethical war is not, those are words that do not go together.
100%.
It's paradoxical.
There is no way to come out unscathed morally.
But
because war is, in its very definition, immoral.
But as Sisko, I think, portrays in this episode, when you're there, dude, and you have a responsibility that you assumed and you took. Here's where we are.
Because it one of the reasons that war is inherently immoral is because it forces you into impossible.
Yeah.
It forces you to make immoral choices. Even if you are a moral person trying to do moral things, you cannot survive.
That's Trek all over the place right now. In Strange New Worlds, we're seeing too, like, to keep it super vague, is how many times has someone been like, we shouldn't do this, but we're gonna do it anyway. I mean, that's back to Kirk, right? We shouldn't do this. This is against Starfleet policy. We're gonna go do this. Should we tell anybody? We've learned with Bashir's augmentation, with number one's augmentation. Like, should we tell somebody? If let's not, right? Like, I'll keep it a secret until it's discovered. Like, these are things.
Yeah, well, it's the complexity of human being.
Speaking of complexity of humans, can I tell a quick funny behind the scenes real quick?
I didn't think there would be any stopping you.
Obviously, Jen just brought me pizza. And so I want to eat this pizza. And I was just considering in my head, I was like, I got to find the right moment to eat pizza, right? And then Keith brought up the Nazis. I was literally about to take a bite of pizza, and then Keith's like, the Nazis. And I was like, well...
Pepperoni?
Speaking of incongruence, it's going to feel weird if this is the time I snack.
I mean, I'm a little peckish.
Because I was going to put this on the screen. Right when you said Nazi.
Wow.
Oh, I love this show.
Oh, wow. That all tracks. Yep. No getting around that. Anyway, so about the Nazis who did atrocious things, they probably also liked pizza. All right, so...
That's the hardest thing of all. Even Nazis like pizza.
Mm-hmm. So, where was I? Good Lord. So, yes, so after moving the mines, they wait on the lines for the attack. Reese hands them all extra ammunition, which is, it's such like a war thing, but it's very startling on Star Trek to see that. Tuco continues to be nervous. It's quiet and tense. Then, out of the darkness, comes the sound of Vic Fontaine singing I'll Be Seeing You. Bashir turned it on to try to calm everyone down. And we see Quark tenderly put a blanket on Nog. Like, Quark's love and concern for Nog... I would like to point out, we can still see you shoving that pizza in your mouth. Absolutely. I'm getting this little window, but it's...
I'm on mute, so you got no sounds.
Thank God. So what did you think about the Vic Fontaine of it all? I thought that was such a
great moment.
Surprising beat.
A great moment, and I have to say, man, I hate doing this. Oh, it bugs me. When I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. The rifles look kind of cool in this episode.
Yes! Thank you!
That's all I'm going to say in the matter.
They look cool. There you go. So, Bashir gets his rifle ready. His cool-looking rifle. And Tuco clocks that Bashir is experienced with the weapon. Then the mines start going off in the distance. The Jem Hadar charge out of the night and the battle begins. So in Act 5, the fight is bloody and brutal. Sparks fire everywhere. Bodies drop on both sides, but it's underscored by the haunting adagio. The Jem Hadar get through the Federation lines and the fight devolves into hand-to-hand combat. Quark listens to the screams as he wipes Nog's brow. Tuco is stabbed in the back, dead. After saving Ezri, Will Robinson is shot dead. Quark hears movement and kills a Jem Hadar himself. Sisko is then knocked out, about to face death. So, this is such an extended battle fight sequence that we, again, rarely ever see on Star Trek, and never is. I can't think of another example of it being given this amount of weight. Right, where it's not like rah sci-fi fights, or it's like fun or adventuring. This is just like sad. Like I find this sequence very moving. It's just terribly sad to watch all this happen, and the music plays in.
Yes, the music plays into it, but also for all of our discussion, Quark's initial thing sets the stage, right? It's because a lot of times when we have battles like this, they're super cool and it's super heroic. Good guys, bad guys. The good guys are good guys, and they're good guiding. And even if they die heroically. Like, it's all in their brain. It's portrayed very Klingon-esque, right? It's like, I died in battle. Right. But here, because Quark, they've done such great work setting up the episode as, this sucks. These people are scared. They've been in this cave for 5 years. We get to know them. They're already traumatized. They're just trying to hold the line. And so when they get killed, you feel the impact. It's not just like the red shirts getting blown away. It feels like we're getting away on the skin of our teeth, unscathed. The impact is great, bad great, but is wonderful because they just did yeoman's work earning it all the way up to this point.
Well, and it's sort of what you said at the beginning, right? It's like, how do you take these names and keep them names and not numbers? And it is about individualizing and knowing who these people are and how they died, because we've seen thousands of people die on this show. A ship blows up. We're like, yay, we blew up the ship. There's 1,000 people on that ship who just got sucked into the vacuum of space, right? We've seen much more horrific in terms of the numbers of dead, but they're faceless. They're numbers. They're not people, and this made them people.
Well, and that's it, really, right? Is in art, in fiction, just in life, right? Often when you're storytelling, Keith, you can speak to this. The best way to make people feel, it's a little incongruous, right? If you write something incredibly specific to you, it somehow has appeal to everyone.
It's more universal.
But the more broad you get, the less the more it kind of just glosses over people. So here, yes, Sisko can stare at as many names as he wants. We can talk about all the casualties, all you want in the teaser. But until we meet these three people and be in even for 30 minutes with them, it gives context. Sisko, all of us are feeling the weight of all of those people now.
Yep. No question. So, we see Sisko's point of view. He wasn't killed after all. He's waken up by Reese. Somehow, they won the battle. The Federation held the ground at great and terrible cost. Ezri holds Will Robinson's body.
It's actually a great choice, too, to have Sisko not be a war hero here. He gets his ass knocked out, too, and he has to get saved. I think Sisko's command, his presence, his gravitas adds a lot to it. Just being a leader is what he brings to this, but he ain't no superhero.
Well, he was useful, but I mean he fought hard, but it's that's what war is. Now I wonder if
did you know? Sorry, I don't know why this made me think of that. So rando, but did you know, like in Valley Forge Park and a lot of national parks, you usually see like these war people on horses. I didn't know that there's like a subtle symbolic thing. If the horse has all 4 feet on the ground, that general, that leader, whatever, survived the battle. If the horse has one of their hooves raised, they were injured in battle, and if they are reared up, the person was lost in battle.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's specific only to Valley Forge, but I believe it's actually most of these parks.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or it's not, and I'm lying.
Who knows? This whole thing is a fever dream of us just
Feels
like
good.
making mouth noises. Speaking of, I wonder if Reese is named after Kyle Reese. It's like, why wouldn't you? So Sisko then says, we held. And Reese says, those were the orders.
Awesome.
So badass. So time has passed, and Worf and the Defiant have returned. Another ship has come to finally replace the troops. Bashir and Nog are on their way to the starbase for surgery. Reese and Sisko watch as the replacements arrive, looking fresh and green. And Reese says, children. Sisko says, not for long. Back on the station, Sisko gets the new casualty reports from the war. How many this time? Kira says, including the troops lost at AR-558, 1,730. 1,730. And that is the siege of AR-558. And so before the trivial people, I almost didn't say this to give people a chance to mention it. 558, that number is the production number of this episode. That's how they got it. What do you say we take this incredibly moving, difficult, and impactful war episode about death and heroism and do this to it?
AlamarEmmys, there was more. AlamarEmmys, it's AlamarEmmys time.
Yep.
I love that within the past month, someone on the YouTube was like, "Can you explain the AlamarEmmys thing?"
What the hell is that?
No fairer question has ever been asked.
Oh, goodness gracious. I like, if you don't know what that is and you didn't just throw your laptop in a river,
you're a better man than I.
We don't do wormholes on this show, buddy.
Yeah, but the button's still there, so I hit it.
Yep, that tracks. There we go.
It's next to the previous
button.
button
Was there, so I hit it. Mm-hmm.
The Mike and Deglio story.
That is 100% the Mike and Deglio story.
Oh man, there's so many good moments. For me, it's the moment that hit. Like, there's so many impactful moments, but I felt like an actual movement emotionally when. Hold on, I gotta get serious.
That pizza went through fast, huh?
I gotta get serious. When Ben talks to Quark, because I'm usually the guy who's like, we shouldn't be in this war. Like, I'm usually on that, but here we are. Like, sometimes you're here. Here we are, and I get Quark's upset, but he is speaking like this is all like that Ben wants.
Like, at this point, this situation is negotiable. It's not anymore.
And
it might have been before. It's not now.
And for all he's done for Nog, and it's not about Nog. It's about all he doesn't want anybody. That's an incredible amount of responsibility bestowed on this guy. And here's another person who has no clue what that responsibility feels like. And I know, long story short, I loved that because it also wasn't one of those Sisko rousing speeches. There's no like huge swelling orchestra behind him. It's not a hero Jerry Maguire speech.
No, it's a this is what the situation is, not a hero moment.
Yeah, and that's been this whole episode. And it's one of my favorite colors that Sisko wears, and we don't get to see it as often. I love, sometimes he's very swashbuckling, sometimes he's very much just captaining, and here he's bringing the entire weight of the Dominion War, and this almost feels like it's a crescendo moment of just, and I don't know, that's the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think this whole episode is about the reality that, like, this is not a hero moment.
Right.
Right? That war, real war, is not fun. It is not a swashbuckly thing. Like, heroism is not something that is enjoyed. Heroism is something that happens during tragedy. Right? So, it's like, if someone becomes a gigantic war hero, usually something horrible has happened. And like and so for me, my favorite moment is the choice of music over the final battle. That, it's not the rousing war battle military sort of a thing like, oh, look how badass these people are. It's like, this is a tragedy. This is terribly, terribly sad. Now, there are heroes in that moment, but it's not a fun type of a situation. So I just think it's very moving, and I think it is.
It's a ballad, really, man. It's a ballad, not an up-tempo.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It's like real war is not a march, not a John Philip Sousa thing. So I just think that was just such a beautiful and compelling choice.
Actually, that may be the most profound thing you ever said. War is not a march; it's a dirge, always.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Let's hand out some stem bolts, shall we?
You get some stem bolts.
Hell yeah!
They are self-sealing. Here are some stem bolts for you.
Yeah. So I'm clearly all over the place this week, but that should not stand in the way of the fact that this is an incredible episode. As Keith just started, it's about war, unmasked, unpolished. It's not sparkly. I think it's one of Trek's, if not one of Deep Space Nine's, if not one of the most harrowing, unflinching portrayals of war. We don't get any grand speeches, like marching into battle. We don't get the big pew-pews on the starships. We don't get to just watch it happening from the safety of the bridge. We're down in it, and we're not even with superhero solo. They act heroically, but they're all worn down and scared or affected already. Right? Those are the people who are fighting right now. And we get to see a little bit of the kind of recruitment video energy in Nog in the beginning, but only briefly. So the portrayal, and that's also we're given that viewpoint through incredible cinematography, really great directorial choices. And we get to see in one episode Nog, who we've seen grow so much over the series, but now we get to see him, the last sort of vestige of his idealization of being in Starfleet and being part of the hero squad, kind of get obliterated. He doesn't just lose his leg, right?
His innocence.
He loses a bit of innocence, and he loses, part of himself, both literally and figuratively. And don't forget, I know you don't, but he was comic relief to begin with. He was like a buddy cop for Jake, and he was comic relief. And I think this, for me, and I'm excited to see where we go with the injury and how they portray all that. Is it going to be just everything's okay, or are we going to get some discussion about not being so ableist and whatnot? But anyway, I think he's sort of almost finished his arc as one of the most rich tapestry of characters we've got, just in journey and in all he stands for. He's very symbolic at this moment. And then finally, the third part of that trio for me is Captain Sisko in his sort of ultimate form, right? This is a Sisko you make a statue for, right? This is why I need a Sisko statue, because his hero nature in this episode is that he's just there. His presence, he stays. You see him with the people who are dying. You see him working with the people who are broken.
He does what is necessary for a hero. He is there to do what is necessary, even if it's whatever. It pains him.
Yeah, what's his last log there, right? They died standing their ground. I hope it was worth it, right?
Right.
It's not even definitive. It's an open question.
We don't know.
Yeah. Awesome. That's just what I want, right? And I like that people we began to really appreciate died. there's consequence. This episode feels like there's consequence. More so than when they killed Jadzia.
Oh, a million
right?
times
This
more.
is how you do it. It's how you earn it. You
million times more.
And because of that, and not everyone will love this, but this is what TV, sometimes you don't always just walk away inspired or happy because the good guys won. Sometimes you walk away a little effed up, a little confused, a little changed. That's TV, man. Even despite the kind of jokey joke, we wrap everything in this episode. You can't be escaped that this is like a serious thing, and it felt that way. It's not a lot of fun. It's not a lot of fun.
No.
That said, I'm curious to hear where this falls, like in the general critical consensus. I just don't think this is one of those episodes where I'm like, oh, this is what. The only thing missing, really, to me, is that like we don't get more of our characters within it. You see Worf just briefly. Kira gets a beat.
Right.
Miles is nowhere. Yeah.
Right.
Odo's not in it. Yeah. Garrick. But that said, I just think the painting. If someone is like, yo, what is Deep Space Nine? I give them this episode, right? This is Deep Space Nine. 98.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time that I saw this episode. Then again, it was on my iPod on the train between Brooklyn and Manhattan. I was just stunned. I was flabbergasted. I was like, wait, what just happened? What was this episode? Not because it was incongruous for Deep Space Nine, but it's just incongruous with sort of Trek in general. Like it is so dark in all senses of the word, but it is also so real. I think that I just think I find this episode incredibly moving, right? Again, I've seen this episode I don't know how many times, but so for this one I'd like, all right, hold on, before we do this, like I sit down, put it on the big screen and turn the sound up and just experience this episode again. And like I cried during this episode. And I think it's just really successful at that. I think I mean, what Nog goes through here, what Quark goes through, what Sisko, what they all go through, it has consequences, it has weight, it has heft, and I think that is incredibly important. Like, this is not a fun thing, right? This is not, and I think like the audience, we're Nog, right? We go in thinking like, oh, what a chance to be badass, and we got these cool looking phasers, and like I want to be hero, and I want to be all this stuff. It is a weird thing to compare this with, but I thought of the movie Starship Troopers, where it is so much about the sort of propaganda of war and the heroism and the badassery of it, and until you get on the ground and you realize what it really is. And sort of that juxtaposition of, because Nog going in there is seeing all the propaganda videos you see in Starship Troopers, and then has to deal with the reality of that. And that is not a sci-fi creation. That is humanity. That is war. That is joining the military. That is all of these things. We do the fighter jets over the Super Bowl and like, oh, badassery and cool. In reality, you're there with watching your friends get killed, and you don't even know what the mission is, and you don't know whether or not we're here for good reasons or not. But that's not your job. Your job is to hold this line, and so the layers of the complexity of all of that is just, I think, beautifully done. I think it's beautifully written. I think it's beautifully shot. The musical choices, both having, playing Vic's song, and then I'll stop harping about the music of it, but like it elevates it. It elevates
always.
it so much because it emotionally connects us to where we are and what is happening. And that zooming in, like you said, the more specific a story is, the more universal it is. The more, like it's like a novel, right? You want specificity. You want your character to talk about what he's having for breakfast that morning. And if he's just having a bacon, egg, and cheese, well, it doesn't really mean much. But like if you get really into a specific, you can really understand he picks all of the, the mustard seeds out because he can't handle, like that's where you get the, even though the specific thing might not apply to you, your life is specific. Your relationships are specific. They are not general. And that's where you get, the connection. So it's a great episode. It's part of an arc. It's part of a larger story. Yeah, it's just an incredible, important episode of Deep Space Nine, and it gets 97 self-sealing stem bolts for me. So I know you're wondering, where is this in the world?
Mm-hmm.
So, they talked in the trivia about how controversial it was, right? And like, oh, it's too dark for Star Trek. It's too brutal. It's too whatever. Well, I don't know whether our understanding of it has changed over time. I bet it was controversial in the production of it because of the, it's definitely not the utopian dream of Gene Roddenberry, and it's definitely a lot spicier than Berman would have it. So I bet it was controversial on that level. In the world, it gets an 8.6, which is number 14 out of 170. It's a top 15 episode, and I think it's every bit that.
It's kind of just take a step out for a second. Zoom out for a minute. I remember telling you, as much as I was familiar with Trek in broad strokes, Deep Space Nine barely even on the radar for me.
The Raider?
The Raider. And that's so funny because really, you think about Trek and you think about, it's funny watching some old Trek now, or back in time Trek, because we're still not cool with the Klingons, and I know that there's like a Klingon war that happens, and then there's like everything before that and then everything after that. Deep Space Nine, as a property, this war is like there is Trek before the Dominion War,
no question,
and then after, right?
Yeah. And
that's such a huge inflection point that it's funny that it's so slept on. Maybe I think it's getting its credence now. It feels like
it is. No, for sure. Over the last 10 years, people are catching up.
I guess my point is that it makes sense to me now. There must be, I don't know how they land this bird, but regardless of how they do it, with the exception of some sort of a, what do you call it, like multiple dimensions scenario, there will be ripples. And because of those ripples, that's why everything coming forward is spoiler territory, which is why you're trying to shelter me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and also, like, remember that there's basically a remake of this episode on Strange New Worlds.
The one where they're on the planet and
the one they're on the planet and they're holding like under the cloak of war, I think is the episode. So like it's a full on remake of this episode.
Interestingly, which is sort of in the zeitgeist of this week's episode of Strange New Worlds.
Interesting. So there we are. So stay tuned, folks. Next week we are going to be talking about the episode Covenant. So yeah, I mean, we're going to be almost, in 2 weeks we'll be 10 episodes into the final season of Deep Space Nine. Are you starting to feel like we're getting near the end of it?
Oh yeah. I'm trying to stop my brain from all the questions you start to ask when I see a series is ending. Who's going to live? Who's going to die? Who's going to be the hero?
Who tells your story?
How are we going to get out of this whole mess? Or, there's other questions too, right? Like the whole romances of it all. We got Yates happening still with Ben. We've got Kira Odo. What's the future of that? Is Bashir going to be lonely his whole life? Where's Ezri? Like, is Worf going to be sad? I've got so many questions. Soap opera style. And also,
opera, not even like, the war.
Well, like, is Odo going to go back to the Link? Do we get rid of the Founders or Six? What happens to them? What's going to go on with the Jem Hadar? They're sort of just an enslaved people. Are we just going to blow them all up, or can they be saved? Like, what? We can't do everything. We've only got 10. We've got 15 episodes left.
Yeah. You know what? Obviously, no spoilers, but we are going to cover a lot of ground, buddy.
All right.
So
buckle up.
Keep your butts Keep your
Keep your
butts.
butts indeed.
So, all right. So we will see you back next week.
Keith.
Yes.
If people want to watch how I emotionally process all of that happening, where could they possibly watch me watch it?
That sounds insane. You wouldn't possibly live stream
Surely
yourself
sounds illegal.
watching the episodes. Oh, one question, unquestionably illegal. You want to know why Mike disappeared because he's serving some time in the slammer? Join him at patreon.com/K&M. Spell out that and. It's well worth it. We'll see you back here next week. Till then, this has been Keith and Mike. Watch Deep Space Nine. Thank you for watching K&M Entertainment. If you enjoyed our particular brand of nonsense, please like and subscribe. Or become one of our patrons at patreon.com/K&M.
Should we start over?